Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. So talk about this occasion when we cross into different world and deal with different cultures, amazing things can happen. All of us are changed by the people that we encounter, and the same goes for language. But when we need to speak with someone who doesn't speak the same language, that's the real magic happens. I'm Fimi Auli Yasinia, and this is my explanation. Let's check it out. Today I'm going to talk about some special kinds of language called Pidgins and Creoles. You probably heard those items before. Maybe in the certain language like Pidgins English or Haitian Creoles. But please note, it's not just a single Pidgin's language or a single Creole language. They are actually referring to categories of language. There are many Pidgins and many Creoles around the world. First, what do they have in common? Well, Pidgins and Creoles are new language that develop when speakers of different language come into contact with each other and have a need to communication. Many Pidgins and Creoles arisen when the colonials came into contact with people as they spread around the world. So, what's the difference between Pidgins and Creoles? Well, Pidgins are non-native lingua franca, while Creoles have native speakers. But let me get into both types of language. The first is Pidgin's language. Like I said before, Pidgin's language have no native speakers. The language that arises very suddenly, very quickly, when there is a need of communication in certain situation. For example, for trade or for labor. The Pidgin's language is a sort of compromising between two different languages or between multiple languages. Pidgin usually arise when one group of people is dominant over another group of people and the last group, dominant group, needs to learn to communicate with the more dominant group. But without any formal education in the language of the dominant group, they adopt a sort of simplified language based on the most basic vocabulary of the dominant group's language and based on the most basic grammars of their own native language. This happens most commonly in the situations like trade, slavery, or the colonial context, or the situations like that. The dominant group is usually the colonial power or the most influential trading partner. Imagine the situation: an English-speaking colonial power has a sugar plantation. And they bring over the laborers from various different countries to the sugar plantation, and those people speak a different language. But in order to work together, they need to have a common language. So they try to adopt English, but since they do this very quickly, the resulting of the language is very simplified language. They just using the basic vocabulary of English and a very non-English grammar. That is a Pidgin's language. When Pidgin first develop, they are typically restricted in use, meaning that they are only used for a certain purpose, for example, on the jobs or for the trade. But some Pidgins expanded Pidgins, meaning that they begin to be used for all facets of life, including social life, family life, or things like that, and they become languages in their own right, even though they are not native languages. They are passed down from generation to generations. They are lingua franca among people who speak different native language. Now about Creole language. So Pidgins language have no native speakers. They arise because they need for lingua franca. But if the language survives and become the native language of the next generations, then it is now a Creole language. For examples, the slaves from several different countries are working closely together on the plantations, but they have no common language. So they develop their pidgins and it's quickly become their expanded pidgins. The language they use all of everyday purposes. Their children grow up in the environments with the pidgins language and it becomes their native language. There is now a Creole language. In the days when the Africans were brought to the Americans, they were often separated from the people who spoke the same native language. That was to prevent them from rebelling or from making plans together, that kinds of thing. So, in those kind of situations, the Pidgin's language became expanded very quickly and within one generation. Sometimes become Creoles. Some Creoles are based on English, for example, Jamaican Creole. Some Creoles are based on French, including Haitian Creoles, which has 12 million native speakers. And the smallest units of the Creole language are based on the Spanish, including the Cavacano in the Philippines. Now, how the difference between Creole's language from the parent's language? Well, it depends on the particular language, but let's look an example. This example is from Beslama, that English based on the Creoles in the Vanuatu.
The examples: this is my house. In Beslama, him ya house belong me. In standard English phonology, him here house belong me. Another examples: I have already been to town. In Beslama, me been long town finish. In English phonology, me been long town finish.
But they are used and arranged in very different ways, and this is what makes it different language with the parent's language. Pidgins and Creoles are fascinating because they are proof that language are living entities. They are constantly changing and adapting to the needs of the speakers. Sometimes two or more languages can even join force and take on a living of their own as a new language. Thank you for watching. Be sure to leave your time and comment down below and subscribe this channel. And have a nice day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.